So, welcome to my live broadcast of this run that I got a few days ago. I didn't feel like streaming at the time, so I just booted the game and did the run, and it turned out to be a pretty damn good PvE. And yeah, I'll be able to post commentary over it, explain the routes, the strats. And yeah, we're gonna have some big down. Alright. So the category is named New Game Plus because we have basically the Epilogue already unlocked. In order to unlock the Epilogue normally you would need to get 100 stars, which is more than what the story has to offer. So we'd have to do a couple of extra stuff, which isn't routed yet, but is going to be routed basically right after this run is going to be done. So the first map is really just like a giant tutorial to figure out how movement work, what are the buttons you can press, and stuff. Even if that was done online, there was no cheating involved or whatever. I have no idea how I would actually be able to cheat in this game, so no to answer for chat. It's a pretty easy map. It can be a little bit annoying at times, and I sometimes lose like 3 or 4 seconds because I just have really bad movement. If you want to mash in this game, the game is mostly played with mouse and keyboard. Left click, right click in order to confirm or cancel moves, and under allow you to confirm move as well. And you can also have camera control as a keyboard. So basically every movement is done with the mouse, it allows for really fast movement compared to a controller, but it also means that I'm going to be way less accurate than with a controller. So the second map, there just explain the basic of units. So if you don't really know this game, this is basically Advance Wars but made by an indie company known as Chucklefish. So it's basically a love letter to Advance Wars. So you've got swordmen, which are basically infantries, pikemen, which are kind of bazookas, and ranger that are like at this point, that's about it. Like there's going to be some units that are going to be very similar, but overall, like the roster is very different. So you've got a very different way to play the game. And the second important thing about this game, and the very big gimmick, is that there is criticals. Every specific unit has a specific way to get criticals. So criticals in this game are obtained by having some certain condition met, and that's going to increase the damage you're going to deal. So pikemen is very simple. You need to have one pikeman next to the pikeman that's attacking in order to get the boost. Archer crit is not moving when doing an attack, and swordmen are going to have a crit once they are sitting next to their commander. Here the idea of this map is to destroy all buildings of the enemy. Which is the town that I deleted earlier, and now there's a barrack which allows you to create troops. You only really need 2 pikemen in order to clear this mission, up until now, or up until I routed the game. I rather decided to come back. I thought you needed 3 pikemen to do this, but turns out that there's a way to do it with 2. In the same way, I figured a new way to make 5 turns on this map consistent. It's a little bit different from what I first envisioned, but it's kind of cool. So most maps objectives are actually not about like destroying buildings of the enemy, because that was kind of just a tutorial about how to destroy buildings, but it's either killing the CO, So commander, here it's Ragna. Let's go with the shield. Or destroys a big tall building that's the HQ of the enemy. And so in order to do that, you usually need like 2 very strong units. So here in this case, we are going to use 2 knights. And knights are really strong because they can... their crit is... like, they're already really strong, but their crit is also very, very interesting because they just need to be at 6 range away from buildings, and they can 2-shot towers. They can one-shot any other buildings with their crit too, which is going to come in handy later on. Very, very good units for offense, but really, really weak at defense. So now we are introduced to Wagons. So Wagons have 13 move on the road, and they have like two movement penalty on normal terrain, on like plains. So it's really, really good to have Wagons when there's big road on the map. So we're building 2 here, and since the objective is to bring all the villagers to safety on this map, these are all going to spawn on the left of the map. Well, we're just going to make a wagon just go back and forth in order to do so. It's a timed map, and you have to wait until like turn 11 in order to clear it. Or is it 10 or 12? I can't remember exactly, but like you can't really optimize it more than that. Everyone else is just here to mitigate the enemy's turn, because it takes longer for an enemy to do their moves than actually pick a unit and kill the enemy, if that makes sense. And so overall, very easy to deal with those guys. We have those 2 Pac-Mans up top that have a really good position to just one-shot everything that's going to come. And then commanders are like... They have no really good strengths, but they've got no weakness either, and they're really tanky. And so like it's really good to just face tank most enemies the AI is going to throw at you with a commander. Especially a commander like Mercia. Because there is another interesting thing that this map introduces you, and it's grooves. So every time a commander attacks a unit or is attacked, they're going to build their groove gauge. And if they kill the enemy, they're going to build it twice faster. And once it's at 100%, they can use their groove, which is their special ability. So Mercia's special ability is to heal 50% of the HP of every of herself and every unit within 3 tiles, in a 3 tile radius, which is insanely good.
Very well.
And so we are going to so it makes this strategy even more effective, especially against AIs. Doesn't quite work out well against a human, but it's still like very, very effective. So this is the last villager we have to save, and once he's saved, we have to also save Mercia, and so we're just waiting for the final turn to save everyone, because it's just more convenient, in my opinion.
My queen.
And that's chapter 1. Very, very solid time for chapter 1, by the way. I usually get a high 8 minutes, and I consider that decent. But now we're introduced to Fog of War, and in Fog of War, just like in Advance Wars, you can't see through forests unless you are 1 tile away from the enemies. And the exception to that rule is dogs. So dogs can see through forests and have a quite bigger vision range than normal units, so they are made for recon purposes. So I'm not really strong, but they're not really that expensive either, and their crit is really hard to set up. So in order to get a crit with dogs, you need to have a dog sitting next to the target. which is really hard to do because that means that you're going to use dog to attack, and dogs are not really good to attack full HP units. So it's really not a crate that you can easily set up. But we'll manage. So the objective of this map is actually to destroy the barrack of the enemy. And we're going to do that by using a knight that is going to be very carefully placed so that he has a crate available and is not blocked on the enemy turn. And for that we need to bring 2 dogs and 1 archer in order to unblock the way. Everything else is not necessary in order to clear this map optimally. Like, even if pikemen are really good, they can only move 3 tiles. So it makes them really inefficient when you want to clear maps fast, which is always what we're trying to do in speedrun settings. So we're not going to see that many pikemen. Just like that, barrack's gone. So up until now, maps were very consistent. I could always do the same thing and the result would always be the same. But as you can see in the damage boxes, damage visualization, there is a range of damage that the unit can deal. It's -5 or +5 damage. Or like, depending on the ratio, kinda. Like, you get the idea. I think it's +5, -5% anyway. Oh, yeah. I messed up the strat here, so that's 40 seconds gone. So, like, the thing is, the AI is always going to do the same move if they're always going to be in the same situation. The problem is when you have RNG damage, you're not always going to be in the same situation. So I have to improvise in some maps in some situations in order to clear. And this is the case for this map. The critical part is actually pretty difficult to have consistently. So I'm pretty sure you can get it like an 8 turn on this map, but as we require luck, that is absolutely impossible to get in RTA. So I'll have to set up I'd have to set up a very... I have to set up a slightly slower strat, but a strat that is much more consistent. I still have to improvise at the end, but it most of the time just work out. So the idea is to bring a trap to destroy the barrack of the enemy, and then 2 knights and a dog in order to well, protect whoever is going to attack the HQ, and then attack with a crit of a trap, and then a crit of a knight, and then hopefully at this point it's Gucci, I can finish. Usually won't have lethal, but it's all good. So on this, so trebuchets were introduced on this map, so it's 2 to 5 range units that can only attack if they don't move, and their crit is when they're at max range, and they are the most busted round units in this game, making both defensive and offensive play really efficient. Also dog crit, yay! And they're also pretty much the only very good counter to golems, which the enemy gets every 2 turns or so on this map, and which are the strongest close combat unit in the game. And so the idea here is to bait out as many units as possible with Emmerich, because the AI is going to heavily focus commanders, because they just want to kill them as fast as possible, while the army that is here to checkmate goes to stop. Had a weird setup here, because I usually don't see this archer attack the knight, so I kinda had to improvise. And how do I improvise in this situation? Where I just set up a dog crit. And thankfully, his commander goes down, which allows me to easily clear. So in order to attack buildings, I need vision, which is why I have a dog ready. And yeah, turn 9. So effectively, you can probably get an 8 turn on this map, but 9 turn is good enough for RTA. So this map introduces air units and anti-air with the form of ballista, which have 2 to 6 range and have a crit with when they attack at 2 range. So pretty much you never see this crit, but it doesn't matter because they one-shot pretty much any air units. And mages, who are basically anti-air and are also very, very, very good offense, but very bad defense. And their crit is when they are on favorable terrain, so forest or mountain, like 3+ defensive bonus. Which means that like once they are in position to crit, they are going to be really hard to deal with. And the idea of this map, or at least this strat, is to bring the commander close enough to me so that I can easily kill it, and so I manip the enemy for that matter. Heavily baiting with my commander, and now for whatever reason the commander is going to go in the forest and be completely strapped on next turn. It has a few ranges, like I need to kill the dog with the commander on that turn, and I need to not kill the knight on the counter attack on turn 3, but it's manageable. And just like that, it's cornered. And I happily go on this turn. So chapter 3-2 is one of this chapter is a little bit, it is very gimmicky in that we only have 5 units. 2 swordsmen, 2 mages, and the commander, and we have to reach every flag with the commander. So basically I want the commander to go forward as much as possible, and every unit is there to prevent the undead to block my way. And in order to deal with the retaliation, well, I'd rather not take that many retaliation, but I have 2,400 gold, which is really nice because mages can heal for 300, so I technically have 8 heals in order to clear this map, which isn't that bad. And so this map is rather long. It takes about 18 turns for a low turn count. And the low turn count strat actually has a chance to, like, is very consistent as well. So it makes, it is very interesting to do in the speedrun setting. There's a 50-50 that I get an extra turn. And then I have to change the strat a little, but it still works out very well, and I only lose like 15 seconds if I have to go for it. So right now the first wave is cleared, and I can go for the second flag very easily. So at this point, my swordsmen are not going to be able to advance as fast as everyone else, pretty much, and I have to clean enemy units on the way that would kill my mages, mostly. So they're going to deal with this wave very efficiently. Well, Emmerich keeps on going forward, and the mages as well.
stones defend us.
So Emeric's Groove is allows him to set up a crystal on the battlefield that will have a 3-range radius, and within that 3-range radius, all terrain will have at least 30% defense for every allied units. Which means that in that radius, all mages will have their crit available. Which makes mages really, really good with Emmerich, because you can just set up their crit really easily. And it's how you get the 18 turn strat as well. Here it was just built in order to bait out the Harpy so that it doesn't block my way, and I can kill it on player phase. And sadly I didn't get the 50-50 on the skeleton on the bridge. So 50-50 if you want to kill it or not in this version of the game. Which meant that I have to go for a slightly slower strat. So the last annoying thing to deal with is going through this bridge. There's going to be a swordman that is going to block Emrich's way. And you either need both mages in order to take him down, or a mage crit. And on the 18 turn strat, the mages can't move fast enough. Both mages can't move fast enough in order to kill the skeleton, so you have to set up that mage crit. But here, they had time to catch up, so they can just easily kill the guy, and Emmer can keep going very easily. Oh yeah, that was annoying. I lost a turn here because whatever things happened. I think I was not supposed to move that mage like that, but it's fine. "20 turn compared to 19 turns is not losing that much time, but it's all good." So this on this map, you need to bring Mercia all the way to the left and to the right, as you can see. Which is really annoying when you have a unit that can only move 4 tiles per turn. Thankfully, you can make red units climb into transport units of another army that you control on the same turn. So I can make a wagon on her side, bring it all the way to Mercia, and then bring her all the way back to the flag. And that's infinitely faster than going on foot. And it also makes this map a lot more interesting, because otherwise this map is a giant slog. And it's not really that interesting. So at this point, the dog and the knight are not useful anymore, and I'm just going to use the harpy in order to deal with a few units that could block Mercia's way to the wagon. And also, I need to clear the bottom road with Nuru and, well, the rest of the green army. So harpy's crit is very interesting because they get a crit every time they are sitting in a mountain attacking a unit. And it's like kind of the equivalent of copters in Advance Wars. So pretty solid air-to-ground unit, but kind of pathetic when it comes to air-to-air combat. Yeah, Wagon allows me to quickly bring Nuru to the part that she needs to secure. And the interesting thing about Nuru is that her groove is really nice. It allows her to summon any kind of units she has a building for. So say you have a barrack, you can build any units from, you can make any unit from the Drowned Army at double price. So say a pikeman costs 150, she can spawn a pikeman at 300 gold and make it move right away. And that makes her really powerful. And we're going to use that groove in order to summon a mage that is going to allow us to take control of that bottom part that is surrounded by pikemen. Since pikemen are really weak to mages. So it's really important that the way for my wagon is cleared, because wagons move twice faster on the roads than compared to planes. Which is why it's very important for me to clean up new stuff. And this movement right there works out just fine, because now the wagon is just outside of the range of the trebuchet that could one-shot it otherwise. So I don't have to deal with it. I believe this is the fastest way to clear this map. There's hardly any good way to save an extra turn on this map. So good stuff. Now we're on to chapter 4. So chapter 4 is Heaven Song. And the first map is quite interesting. So the only way to clear it is to destroy the HQ, since the enemy doesn't have any commanders. And they start with a lot more buildings and economy. So it's really hard to win on normal warfare candidate deal. And also going through the enemy's defense is very rough, because you have to go through 3 choke points that the enemy can really easily block off. And so the best way to deal with that is to just bring a swordman in front of a pikeman and then clear the way with for a knight and a mage to go through, while the commander is at the top. And as you remember, the enemy AI is going to prioritize stealing as much as possible, killing the commander, which is their winning chance. So they are going to prioritize the top of the map and instead of the bottom of the map, which allows us to really easily sneak at the bottom and get that win con. Depending on the RNG you get on this map, you can have situations where you don't care about what happens to Noru, because she's going to be able to go in front of the ballista and thus blocks the way. But sadly that didn't happen here, so instead I just have to play defensively, heal her so that she doesn't die, and it's GG. You can actually save a turn compared to what's going to happen, but it's range dependent. So I can have run where I kill right away, but won't be the case here. I don't know why I bothered with that, but sure. This map is yet another instance of manipulating the enemy's commander AI so that it falls into a trap. And in order to do that, I'm once again going to use Mersha and go straight into the enemy's base and make them feel like they can take her down, but they can't, and I have enough army to kill the enemy commander instead. In order to do that, we're obviously going to use Vagans. The top mage is here so that I can capture the top barrack, and that top barrack is actually going to make the AI want to attack it, because obviously production centers are really important, and if you can take them down, well, it's very good. So the AI is actually trying to focus that, which gives us a lot more room to go through the bottom of the map. Yeah. From there, the commander is going to be stuck. An easy kill for my units.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this map, even though we got introduced to golems earlier, this is the first map where we actually get some. So I can talk about them a little bit more. So golems have 5 movement, which is more than most of the units in this, the ground units of this game. The average is at 4, I'd say. 3 or 4. And they have massive power, which allows them to pretty much one-shot any enemy units at full HP. And so you kind of have to chip them to death if you want to win, or have a trebuchet well positioned, which is never happening because usually like a normal player is going to be smart. And once they are down to under 30% HP, they go back to full power. So very strong unit, but very expensive, so we're not going to see that many. Because we will never have the economy to make one. And so once again, we're going to trap the opponent's hero into going for our commander when it in fact shouldn't.
This should protect us.
Yo, scam, thanks for the rate. So Tess has the chance to low roll and not kill the commander, but it's only like losing a turn. Which is like a little bit of time lost, but it's all good. The strategy works out. Stats haven't sunk. Now we've got chapter 5, which is some really annoying inconsistent maps. And so this map is basically hold the 2 bridges on Koji's side, while Emmerich gets some fire reinforcements, which are the Wyvern at the bottom right. And what is best to hold choke points? Trebuchet. And the ballista in order to deal with air units. And so we're going to make 1 ballista and 2 traps and easily control that whole area. And once the Wyvern comes, we will be able to quickly snipe the commander, hopefully. The problem is, it is kinda random whether or not you manage to get a quick kill on the commander, so We'll see how this goes. And if I remember correctly, it doesn't go really well. So there is actually a world where Koji dies to that knight and the archer combo if you get bad rolls, but I knew that in this situation couldn't really happen, so that's why I was fine with putting Koji where I put him instead of putting him to safety. I couldn't get hit. Yeah, as you can see, the opponent comes with an overwhelming army on turn 7. But thankfully, it doesn't have that many air-to-air units, and every mages that they're going to have is going to be my high priority to kill. So about Ember Rings or Dragons or however you want to call them, if you've played Advance Wars, it's basically bombers. They can't attack air units, but they are devastating for ground units. So very, very good units to have. Now I'm going to lose my knight, but it's fine because I really don't need it at this point. I just need him to take down all units that can deal with aerial units. The enemy does come with a witch, which I definitely need to destroy as fast as possible. I got one shot. I could have played this a little bit differently. I knew that... I'm pretty sure that Koji could have tanked one more hit. So I didn't have to retreat him as much as I did. And I could have taken a Harpy shot instead of my Ember Wings, but it's fine. Do that. I think I had little or one turn earlier than what I'm going to do, but I missed it. Yeah, I definitely could have legal there because Sedge was in crit range for my trap, and I could have used Koji to kill the archer, but I didn't read that correctly, which is fine. And I lost a little bit of time, but still cleared, so. So 5-2 is my most hated map in the game, or rather in the run. In order to win, you have to destroy all operation centers of the enemy once again, which is 4 barracks, 4 barracks and 1 tower. And in order to do that, we've got no economy and 2 Ember Wings. So the FTC strat is really, really cool, but it's mostly just theoretical, and it's pretty much impossible to get. At least it's very much impossible to get consistently. So instead I have a strat that just is going to destroy most of the enemy units that is pre-deployed, and will then allow me to have full control over the air and good control over the top right barrack. So the idea is that both Timber Wings are going to take down all three bottom barracks and the airport, while the ground army is going to have time to destroy the top right barrack. So optimally you do that in like, what, 10 turns, but it's going to take a little bit more than that in a speedrun, or we're just trying to clear. And just like that chapter on turn 5, which is pretty much how far the route goes for this map, the enemy has just a Trebuchet that has no target, so it's going to move as much as possible. And a knight that is also going to die to an archer. And so I can just destroy that, nearly destroyed that ballista, and then just take trades and win from there.
I'll save you all.
It's very important not to kill that harpy up there until you've destroyed the airport, because otherwise the AI is going to try and make either witch or harpy, which is incredibly bad. So you don't want this to happen. You also want to kill as many swords as possible on the way, because otherwise it would retake the buildings that you've destroyed with the Ember Wings. And since it's really not the limiting factor here for this map, you just have to take the time to destroy everything. And once the airport is gone, I can easily take down this harpy. And now that the enemy has nearly nothing and I have a little bit of economy built up, I can get some knights in order to get the kill on the top right barrack. Also, that was really spooky. I could have probably gone forward, actually, looking at the board. But I didn't read it. I think what I read was trying to get a crit on the... a dog crit on the swordman, but it was lacking one movement, unfortunately. So from there, I just decided to go forward, though. And now that the middle of the fortress is destroyed, taking care of the bottom right of the map is pretty easy. Just have to avoid any kind of mages, because they are going to destroy my Ember Wings and I don't really have any way to get any more. So I'm just going to go south, take care of the bomb barrack first. It's going to be a little bit slower, but if I don't have to think, then it's going to be faster than anything else. Because thinking is slow. And that's why speedrunning this kind of game without a route is really hard. That's an unfortunate. So I explained earlier that you are guaranteed to get kills on buildings with knights. It's actually not true. There is a very, very small chance that doesn't happen. It didn't happen here. So it's kind of sad. But it happens. I just have to wait for the Ember Wings to kill the barrack, and I can clear in 12 turns. which again is like 2 or 3 turns slower than the LTC, but it's a very consistent strat, so I'm all for it. So this is the first Naval map, and it's kind of funny because it happens on chapter 6, which is the second to last chapter of the game. So we're introduced to well, the 2 main units that you can have in water maps. So merfolks that can capture and destroy buildings. So basically swordmen of the water. They have 1-2 range, and their crit is when they are on waters, they deal more damage. And turtles have really good movement and they one-shot merfolks, basically. And then if you want to take care of turtles, you have to make harpenship, which are ranged units. So you've got this this whole synergy going on. And the last unit is the Trebuchets of the water, I'd say, the warship. Very strong, but very, very squishy to turtles, again. So I've got 4 units, and it's basically a rock, paper, scissors situation, using all of them. So the objective of this map is to destroy all production centers of the enemy, which is basically just the top left port. But at the same time, the enemy can also capture the bottom right port, which makes this strat completely not work, which is why we sent the turtle down there the way we did. Because now we can finish and GG. So Felheim is a very funny map because you've got all 3 types of armies. You've got water led by Nuru, you've got air led by Koji, and you've got earth led by Emmerich. So you're kind of supposed to use all 3, or at least that's what you are going to think at first, but in reality the Air Force is only prevented to destroy the HQ by a few ballistas that are really easily accessible to reuse, and they're all and you can always one-shot them. So you can basically just win this map if you use if you only use bombers or reuse or dragon or however you want to call them. So just make 2 extra bombers compared to what we had, and then we rush to the HQ and GG. The one thing to note is that that guy was annoying. Wasn't supposed to be there, so I got a little bit confused. The one thing to note is that even if the enemy has support, it's not going to do anything until you've got some units in the critical space of it. So we're just going to destroy the ballista and then wait for all 3 reuse to be within range of the HQ in order to trigger the panic mode, or like reinforcement mode, or whatever you want to call it. And at that point it's basically checkmate. And now all 3 reuse are positioned in a way that they can all attack the HQ on next turn, provided that I don't get trolled by the enemy's ballista positioning. So the ballista can either go to the right of the HQ or to the left of the HQ. If they go to the right, then I lose a turn because I can't actually attack the HQ with all 3 reuse. That's what happened there, so that's 40 seconds lost, because that's an extra turn. But the enemy just doesn't have enough anti-air in order to deal with all my units, so we're good. And that's GG. Now the last map of chapter 6 is Fortress. So we've got this time not one but two commanders, Mercia and Caesar, her dog. And yeah, the objective is to kill Valder. And for that we've got a pretty good pre-deployed army, and really outside of the first wave of enemies, everything is pretty easily handled on, and especially with a very good strat, I guess it's really not scary. As long as we keep our archers, we keep our commanders at decently high HP, and we keep our knight, like nothing can go wrong. And once again, Mercia's Groove is going to be very, very nice here, because in a Peruvian map, being able to heal a lot of units around you for 50% HP is incredibly broken. So we're going to want to spam that. And thanks to that as well, we can also go really, really offensively with Mercia. Caesar's Groove is that he's such a good boy that is going to inspire everyone next to him to move again.
I'm here to help.
And it's going to be very helpful in order to get through a choke point, provided you can set it up properly, which is not the easiest thing ever. But we're going to make sure we get some maximum value out of it, as you're going to be able to see next turn. Because next turn we have to deal with 2 archers, 2 pikemen, 2 mages, and a golem. Which is quite a lot, especially when you have just a very small corridor. But we've got archers, we've got 2 commanders, and we've got a very solid group. So when I said that the only way to deal with golems is with a trebuchet, or well, ember wings, you can also do some very positive trades with your commanders. Especially if they're at full HP.
Rise from your grave.
Yeah. So that's basically how you handle golems, and some really important piece of information to have, not for the next map, but for the map right after, and you'll see why soon enough. And we also set up very nicely a nice crit with the knight in order to finish up the golem, so now it's not our threat anymore. So So from here on out, there is only that pikeman and the tortures to deal with, and they're going to focus their attack on Mercia, which thanks to that is going to have her perfectly. So she's going to be able to go back to full HP, despite all the pokes. And yeah. The last few enemies are only set up to move once you get through the little 3 tile quote-unquote choke points. I wanted to heal there and I misinput and I felt really bad and I felt like I might die. Thankfully I didn't. I don't know how many HP she's left at, but it's kind of sad. Yeah, that was 6% HP, because commanders also get 5% HP back every turn, which is pretty nice. And yeah, I nearly lost the run there to a stupid misinput. So now, before entering Valder's room, I want to set up my units in a nice position so that I can set up another very good Shizer's Groove. But sadly, I kinda messed it up, I think. Yeah, that looks very messy. I tried to make sure that the archer wouldn't get hit by the soldier, but I miscounted. And it still gets hit. So I couldn't have gone. Well, I could have gone first in my usual setup and it would have been fine, but still gonna work out pretty well. Instead of having 4 units inspired, I'm going to have 3, which is good enough for what I want to do. So now every unit in that room are going to be active, but they are already pretty much in position to attack and kill Valder. So it's going to be pretty fine. And that mage died, which is very unfortunate. But it's okay, we still have like, more than enough power to deal with everything. I've gone for it, I think. Scaredy cat. Oh wait, no, I was... Yeah, okay, so what I was planning was to get that crit on the mage. Right. Good thinking. Though I don't think it mattered too much, but... It's gonna die anyway, because like, there's 2 counters right next to him, so... Finishing in 12 turns, there is a way to finish... There is multiple ways to clear this much faster, but... This works out nicely. So 7-1 is the big confrontation against the evil guy of this story, which is Sigrid, who is trying to take control of the world, basically, yada yada, classic stuff. And it's going to be quite overwhelming because... quite underwhelming because, well, I'm just going to bait it to death. That is, if I knew what I was doing. This is not going to look good. So there is still potential strats depending on what happens here in order to win. Depending on what the RP does. The whole... Both strats have a 75% chance to work out. So first, I really want the harpy not to destroy the building. And even if that happens, then I need to kill the soldier, otherwise it's a reset. So that's a first minute gone because I got unlucky and hit 1 out of 4. And now depending on what the harpy does, there's 2 strat. And you really don't want to confuse them because they really don't work the same way, even though like it feels like it. And I might have missed out on practicing it. There. From there, I know that it's a guaranteed kill. Provided I don't mess up. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to save after I kill that soldier. Sadly, I just messed up. That positioning was a warship, so I have to reset. Very unfortunate way to lose a minute. So very annoyed by that mistake. I'm thinking, okay, so like as soon as I get the strat to work out, I'm going to save. Just in case I'm a stupid human being. And mess it up again. I was very mad at myself too, because I was really thinking hard at like what I had to do. I still messed it up. Because I confused the both strats. So once again, thankfully, I get the good pattern. So I can kill that, and from there, I mess up the stuff because I forget to use the archmanship, and instead use the mage to kill the harpy. And that's not what you're supposed to do, and I only realized after after the enemy phase when I saw Figure going this way when I was supposed to kill her next. On this turn. So that's another those touches, 30 seconds gone. Maybe even more than that, but yeah. Now this time, we're good. Alright. So you guys know Fire Emblem, right? That game inspired Advance Wars, kinda made by the same guys that made Advance Wars, where you've got heroes that can level up against giant armies. Well, I think this is basically it. So we've got 7 commanders ready to take down the final boss, and that's about it. That's all the unit you have compared to the massive amount of units that the enemy have. Thankfully, and that means that if any one of them die, then it's game over, right? Because if a commander dies, it's game over. That's how the game works. Thankfully, that also means that we have 7 groove, including Marsh's groove, which is incredibly helpful on this map. But that's not it in terms of difficulty. Every 2 turns, LOD is going to take control of one of my commander and do whatever they want with it. Including suiciding themselves. They can actually do that. I've seen that multiple times. So this map is very difficult, either casually or in a speedrun. Because one of the rule of thumb for this game is that the RNG is going to, like, the strats are going to be inconsistent as soon as a hero is going to be in battle. That's pretty much always how it works out. And so this map is no exception. So I can plan out for the first like six turns, and then from there I have to just improvise all the way through. Not losing any unit, and also trying to go somewhat fast. Thankfully, I have a few ways to like practice this map and get better at it. So LD is always going to take control of the same units in the same order. So it's Koji, Nuru, Ragna, Valder, Emmerich. Wait, no. Before Valder, Caesar, Valder, Emmerich, and then Koji. And then it's going to loop around. Not touching Ragna. Mersha. So that's something to work with. Now the big problem with that whole taking control of your commanders is that they're going to lose all their groove. So it's not too bad with characters like Valder, who builds their groove for every kill they do, but it's a problem for Koji, who takes forever to build their groove, for example. So you kind of want to plan around that as well. The other thing is that you're not going to fight all the enemies at once. As you can see, like, half of the enemies are not moving up the map. That is because enemies are only going to move after you touch a certain zone on the map. And so we are going to use that to our advantage and only trigger enemy reinforcements when we are in a good position to deal with them. We also use the fact that our units are going to be controlled during the turn, so that we can deal with enemies that are too far out of the way. So the Trebuchet at the start was a very good example of it. So Ragnar being able to having such a good CO power prove, which is dealing massive AoE damage around where she lands, is going to allow us to trivialize this wave. The problem is that on the turn right after, she's going to use that same groove on our unit, which is really bad, but thankfully Mercia's groove is a very good counter against it, which is why I kept it at this point. Caesar being a little bit away from everyone else is going to be able to bait out the mage and deal massive damage during enemy phase. And now I can get a very nice kill. So about group management on this map, you want as many units as possible because it's always good to have more options, more mid shields, etc. So Valder's groove, which is to spawn a skeleton and freely, and Nuru's groove that allows her to spawn a pikeman, is going to be very, very nice. It's especially going to be nice at this moment because that swordman that I'm going to spawn is going to first deal damage to a trebuchet, which is like definitely the most annoying unit in on the map, and B blocks the way for reinforcement to the right from the right side, so we only have to deal with the south of the wave. Which is going to start being massive. And we don't have that much terrain to defend ourselves. I usually want to put that crystal on the forest that is right into Nur right now, but Emmerich was lagging behind, and that means a little bit less coverage compared to usual. I also usually want to have Koji's groove ready to have a little bit more mid shield. but I couldn't get that either. So Kudge's Groove, we never got to see it, actually. Allows him to spawn two bombs that are going to detonate damage one tower one around where we decide to explode them. And since they are airborne unit, while grounded units are going to seize them as well, blockers, which is very nice to deal with this wave consistently. And yeah, from there this wave gets a little bit shaky. Because the golem is coming up, and it's going to be a pain to deal with. From there, the idea is just clean up, and then once everything is cleaned up, use Mercy's Groove.
I'll save you all.
Go.
Healing aura.
Sure, I think I could have went for something a little bit better, but. Now I don't know where to place this guy. So by the way, we only have 2 maps left. 1 hour in, and the run is about 1 hour and 40 minutes long. So it gives you a good idea of how long it can be to have a map where you have to improvise all the time. Which is why I focus so much on trying to get strat that works consistently and where I don't have to think. Because having to think is bad. Alright, so second to last wave is really easy. And instead of using Ragnar's Groove, which we usually have at this point, we're just going to build our groove with everyone that isn't going to be controlled by Elodie. And that way we'll have most of our grooves ready to deal with Elodie and her massive army, which consists of a Trebuchet, two, 3 or 4 knights, I can't remember, 2 golems, 2 mages, and Elodie herself. So a really rough fight. Yeah, 3 knights. And because that fight is so rough, this is why I still have my spur bombs from earlier and decided not to use them right away. Because that's going to allow me to clear up the way for when I'll really need to break through. So Kudge was about to get controlled on this turn, so I was starting to think how I could prevent that from happening. Once you trigger the final wave of enemies, that's going to stop Elodie from controlling your units. So you kind of want to trigger it, not right away, because then you have to deal with, well, the previous phase and this phase at the same time. Which is obviously faster for an LTC, because then LD can get closer much faster, but it can also be a massive pain to deal with, because then the Trebuchet is not going to be in the front line. So now I've got 4 spare bombs to deal with whatever is going to happen, which is quite a bit. I'm just sending that Swordman to die and giving me a little extra boost of damage on the Trebuchet. Feels really nice. No, I'm not gonna go for it. Am I? That'd be sick. Do it. Smarter. Okay.
I'm gonna break you! Calling reinforcements!
Getting a nice setup for Stoker's Groove. Am I going to go for that? Sounds sketch. But at the same time, if the golem is dead, then what can they do? Well, nothing. That's what I figured. And I was right. Just like that, Elodie nicely just put herself in range for me to kill her on this turn. Pretty easily. So right now I'm pretty certain I have legal. I just don't know how to set it up properly.
Rise.
G. And that was actually the fastest way I've ever cleared this map. I think even in practice I never cleared this map as fast. So good stuff. That made up for the 7-1 mistakes. And so the previous map was 14 minutes. This one takes a little bit more. And even though we've got a normal pre-deployed army, we only have a pre-deployed army, and the army in front of us is really big, and we only have 1 commander. And we have to route everything. Pretty much. And this map takes about 30 turns to finish. So a very long map, not really that hard because the enemy density is big, but the enemy quality is poor. So we just have to not lose any units, and we are mostly good. So the first phase here, where we just have to attack Dark Mercia hard enough so that she just leaves and set up this next phase, is very consistent. There's like 1 or 2 things at the end that can mess up, but other than that, we're pretty safe. And after that, it's just a giant mess. So we'll get to that. And so this map is the Epilogue. If you've never seen it, that's because you played this game, felt like you finished the campaign. It's because you can only unlock this map if you've got 100 prestige star. And the story only gives you 60 stars, so if you want to get the 100-star requirement for this, you need to pretty much to clear most of the game content, whether it's side stories or side content like the puzzles or the arcade mode. And this is the only reason why this category is called New Game Plus, is because I just don't want to... I didn't want to route these maps yet. I say yeah, because I'm going through that lately, and we're going to keep doing that for the time being. So hopefully we can get some nice new game runs, proper new game runs, within a few weeks. Who knows? So depending on the ranges I get on the knight that is now positioned, I have to either go for this jank strat or a much more nice strat that allows me to heal all the dogs on next turn. Sadly, I'll have a 1 HP dog on next turn, but hey. Oh, well, 1 6 HP and 1 5 HP dog, rather. So the nice thing about this map is that we're starting with a very, very good golem. And there is really no way he dies. If it dies, then you definitely screwed up something. So you were supposed to die, that's fine. I have backups. So it's going to slow me down a little bit from on this phase where I have to kill every unit. But it's okay, I can deal with it. So the problem with this map is that we are once again facing choke points. And this time we don't really have any good way to break through them. Or rather, the breakthrough we can do is with our smallest team of units, though our strongest. And so we'll have... And most units are going to come from on that side, so we'll have to tank all of them with Mercia, which is not ideal, but it is what makes it a mess, and hopefully it's going to be not too bad. At least that's always what I hope. Chances are it's not going to go as well as well. So the most important units to kill are, in a choke point situation like that, are the archers that are going to be able to attack you from range, while other units are going to just block the way, and mages, because Dark Mercia has like near infinite money, so it's going to heavily favor healing, which is really bad when it's a war of attrition like that. Just like that. So from there, what I wanted to do was actually just damage the Pac-Man, I think, but that was definitely a bad idea. And we'll see that's enough. I didn't do this the best way I could have. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's a smart move. Or rather, now the non-stupid move. So from there, things are kind of sketchy because, like, she didn't exactly die, But I don't know how to get through the pikemen that are very crit set up. And it's just a mess. So I think I actually don't know how we should have handled this situation. I think I just sacked my dogs, yeah. Then tried to kill the mage. Didn't succeed, but get somewhere. So every time I kill an enemy unit on this map, I get 50 gold. And considering the amount of enemy units, it's really not that bad. Okay, yeah, see? Was the death I was talking about. Yeah, oh, actually I go for that instead. Works out better for me. Impressive. Oh, and yeah, most importantly, I move the pikeman in the way so that it protects my archer. So that was a dumb mistake I did. This time I had my proof ready, and I can be back to 7 HP, and we are in much better shape. At this point I can also set up Fritz with my pikemen. Go for that, and we're happy.
I'm here to help. Healing aura.
So I'm probably going to lose a few of my pikemen and dogs here, because they are by far the less important units at this stage of the map. So I don't mind losing any of that. What I don't want to lose is the archers, my mages, and most importantly my knights. Alright, so now that I can break through, it's mostly stabilized, everything is fine. Taking a little bit of damage on those knights, but as long as they're at more than 5 HP, I can always screw them back to life. So it's all good. So now, for the next phase, I want Mercia to be at the bottom with 2 archers.
I'll save you all.
I missed healing the missed healing the pikeman, but it's not that big of a deal. I think that's going to damage my archer. That was poorly judged. mistakes once again. I really should have left the dog down and killed the archer or some way, one way or another. Because now I have no real way to deal with that dog in front of me. Yeah. So that is a problem. So the golem is pretty much always going to focus Marsha instead of the golem, which is pretty much what the only threat that the golem has. So I can just safely put my golem in the middle of the enemies and he will be fine. Which is the main reason why the golem is so important on this map. So whatever you do, you're going to be safe with the golem. So I can completely ignore the enemies on the left side. Which is really nice. Yeah, I think that move is going to kill tonight. Unfortunately. But it was a pretty sensible choice to do at the when I did it. I was saying place and kill the yard swordman. Yeah. Guess that was hard to see. Or that. That was pretty okay. So at this point, these pikemen are pretty much won't have enough movement to keep up, so they are here to choke the point in gates for the reinforcements that are coming. Oh yeah, that was a really important turn of event. Oh yeah, lost the knight. Lost both knights. Oh yeah, that doesn't feel good. Very difficult sometimes to figure out the best play. Forget about that. That's such an annoying move. Alright, so clearly I messed up a lot because I'm ending with a golem, no knights, and 2 archers, which is less than ideal. I'll find a way to deal with it. It's going to make the final push really difficult. And so I usually push to the left, but considering the situation, I realized that it was going to be much easier to push to the right. Because, like, I have nothing left. Actually, I didn't realize that at that moment. But I will on the next turn, where I, like, basically seeing that knight and nothing in the way to deal with it. Just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go right. Sounds much less painful to deal with. I'm impressed that Archer is going to survive, actually. Well, yeah, okay, it survived. Not with many HP, but it survived. Which I guess is okay. This is going to be a little slow, but for sure it was the right call. Considering the amount of annoying units on the left side. Dogs don't really matter either at this point. We'll see what the time is going to be, Sarah. Now I think I'm going to wait for the Archer to try and catch up to use Ragnar's Marsh's Roof. And then we can enter safely on the final one. So again, going to use the same tactic as before. The enemy is going to ignore my knight, my golem, and instead focus on Mercia. And since nothing can damage the golem other than what focused Mercia, well, we're Gucci. From there, I just have to kill the golem, and once they don't have a golem and I still have a golem, we win.
None shall fall while I still stand. Healing aura.
I don't quite understand the priority order I did there, but it works, so sure. Yeah, at this point the enemy had nothing left, so just an easy kill with Golem, Mage, and Mercia. Beam, 2-2. That's it. Sub 140 achieved. With a few mistakes here and there. Could have been fast. It can still go faster. Could probably crack the sub 135. Without any mistakes and very good 7-2 epilogue and 5-2 done. But I'll keep it this way for now. It's a very, very solid time. Because this is not the category I really want to run a lot. The one that is really interesting me is New Game. Because New Game Plus feels kind of cheap, right? So yeah, looking forward to it. And that's going to be it. Thanks for watching.